Okay. You remember when Ronnie Garvin won the NWA title? And if you're younger, you won't. But he defeated Ric Flair, and he held the title for a brief period. It wasn't long at all. I've always wondered because he won it in September and lost it in October. And those were pay-per-views, I believe. No, the second one, when he lost it, was a pay-per-view. But anyway, he was champ for about a month. So I've always been curious, what did he do? Did he defend the title? Did he uh, go around to the house shows? And turns out he did. Let's go to this amazing website and search for wrestler. Pop in the name. And I'm going to type Ron. Ron Garvin. There he is. I switched it to Ronnie. Interesting. Cool. So I want to know his matches. Because after he won that belt, I want to know what he did the next night. I think that would be cool. So we go in. I happened to look it up. I vaguely remembered it, but it was 1987. And he won it in September, I believe. Let's go find him. So they have 25 matches listed of his for that month. No, 20, I'm wrong. Okay. So now we find where he won the belt. There it is. Title change. Cobo Arena, Detroit. That was a TV taping. Yeah, that was a I guess they had merged by then. So, all right, defeated Ric Flair. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen that match. I know I've seen Oh no, I've seen footage. I've seen highlights of it. But that was when I was a kid. I'm sure it's on YouTube or network. So, okay, here's the answer to our question. The next day, he didn't work. But 2 days later, he went to the Greensboro Coliseum, defeated Big Bubba. So, if you had gotten your tickets like 2 or 3 months ahead of time, you might have expected a Ron Garvin Big Bubba match, but you never would have expected it to be for the heavyweight title. That's crazy. So the people that showed up that night, they had a interesting night. All right. So the next day, he went up over to Greenville and defeated Arn Anderson. Interesting. All right. So this is fun. Let's check on October. This website is great. I'm not affiliated with it at all, but it's great. All right. October 1987. Second. Ric Flair and Ronnie fought. They had the rematch, but this database doesn't know. Yeah, sometimes that happens. It doesn't know. But then the next day, old Charlotte. So they were in South Carolina, went down to Daytona Beach, back up to Charlotte. So he's got a couple days in a row here, 3, 4, 5. So these are all in a row. So he's got, Ivan Koloff that day. Interesting. I guess he was a former WWF champion. So, okay, Arn and Ronnie again. Winner unknown. Okay, so he's kind of rolling through the Horsemen a little bit because he's got Tully. Memorial Auditorium, Greenville. Okay, so then back up to another TV taping. This one's in Cleveland. I remember when I was a kid, there was one of these TV episodes where he was talking about the nameplate on the belt. The first time I'd ever seen anybody talking about that. You didn't talk about belts on TV back then. All right, CSU Convention Center, Cleveland. He defeated Tully. 6 minutes. Okay. The next, 3 days later, so he must have, I wonder if he went home. Must have gone home. Had a little break there. the champ. Okay, Greensboro on the 10th. Okay, so he went. Okay, see, this is interesting. I remember this when I was a kid. It's like Ric Flair never gets pinned clean when he's the champ. Well, I can't say never. Put yourself back into that era, and it seemed like he always would sneak away, never get a clean pin on the guy because he's so sneaky. But then if he loses the belt, in my little 7-year-old head, I was like, what, does he just not care as much anymore? Because he's getting beat now, clean. That's how I thought in my brain. All right, the 9th, over to St. Louis, Ric Flair. So he's got Rick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, all clean pin. Columbus, Cincinnati. Oh, he got two. Cincinnati and Columbus were both in the same day. Okay, so this 12th, Memorial Auditorium, Greenville. There goes Greenville a lot. Okay, we got tag matches now. That's weird. Ron Garvin and Robert Gibson. Why not? That's weird. Never knew they teamed up together. So that's a cool way to do it because they got this feud going, Rick and Ron. Put them in some tag matches. That's pretty common. Okay, another clean pin. Kansas City. Clean pin over Ric Flair. 2 out of 3 falls. I'm assuming it's a clean pin. Another one. The next day, Baltimore defeated Ric Flair. Okay, for a TV taping down in Atlanta, WTBS Studios. Must have been one of those. I vaguely remember this. Just a little squash match. Sure, Rick came in and ran his mouth, if I recall. Okay, so another tag team. That makes more sense. Ron Garvin and Dusty Rhodes against Ric Flair and Lex Luger. Robert Gibson just seems random. Okay, Gary Young would be like a preliminary guy. Okay, here they get in a they go down to Norfolk. October 30th. So we're closing out October. Nikita Ron, and Rock and Roll Express with Champ and Nikita Koloff defeat Ric Flair, Lex Luger, the Four Horsemen by DQ. Wow. So that's October, and November is the month that he loses it. And there it is. Yeah, by the end of the month, he's losing to Ric Flair. One of the few that actually did. All right, Flair and Luger, Ron and Nikita. That makes sense. Middle school gym? Wow. That's like some indie stuff right there. Taking Champ to the middle school gym. On the 5th, 2 days off, Atlanta, the Omni. They put him in a 2-1 handicap match. That's interesting. And then all the way to San Francisco the next day. That's a long drive. Long flight. I've done that flight. Civic Auditorium. I wonder how many people. So Ron and his brother. Again, that makes even more sense. Okay. Spartanburg. Memorial Auditorium. The next day. So wait. He was in Atlanta. The next day San Francisco. And the next day Spartanburg. That's crazy. What? Spartanburg TV taping. They did 2 shows, I guess. Do you have me? Or maybe this. No, I skipped something. Okay, I skipped it. No. Okay, he defeated Larry Stevens, which was a nobody, and then he did the tag team. Alright. Then 2 days off, thank God. I'm sure he was happy. After going from Atlanta to San Francisco to do 2 shows in Spartanburg. Alright, so Hampton, Virginia. Ron and Nikita defeat Ric Flair and Tully. Rick and Tully, that's interesting. That would be something that I'd like to see there. That would be really cool. Too bad there's no footage. Alright, 11/16. So he had 2 days off, one spot in Hampton, which is easy, and then 3 days off. That's great. Great Western Forum, Inglewood, California. And then back to West Virginia. That's crazy. Anyway, okay, so he teamed up with Steve Williams this time. Did an elimination match. So the champ got pinned in a tag team match. Bluefield, West Virginia, tagging with brother against Tully and Arms, a normal combination. Washington, D.C. is getting close to the end here, and he knows it. So you go from Bluefield, West Virginia to Washington, D.C. Not too bad at all. Armory defeated Arn Anderson. What we got here? Nassau Memorial, Uniondale, New York. Big old tag. Ron, Dusty, Barry, Ricky, and Robert defeated the Midnight Express, Arn Anderson, Big Bubba, and Stan Lane. Wow. No horse. It's like the horseman disappeared and Arn got transported into the. Oh, Tully and Arn. Into the Midnight Express. So here's the end. Down to Chicago. UIC Pavilion. Ron Garvin loses. Title change. Most of us have seen that one. Yeah, interesting stuff. Just out of curiosity. Wonder what that looks like. Cool. That's where they were? Check. Yeah. I'd love to go there one day. Pretty cool. Getting into other ones now. Alright, that was fun. Thanks for joining me.